Hello, I'm Hannah, and this is Hannah's Books. I'm coming to you today with what I hope will be a very brief video, a TBR for Nonfiction November. This is one of my favorite Booktube events every year, and I'm pretty excited about a few of my choices this time. Every year, Olive at our channel, A Book Olive, provides 4 one-word prompts, words that can be interpreted in a myriad of ways. And this year, the words are fraud, capital, display, and web. At first, I wasn't sure I was going to follow the prompts, but as I do every year, I got totally sucked into the wonderful game that is trying to make the prompts fit the books you already know you want to read. So, here goes. Prompt number 1 is fraud. One of my favorite speculations is that Shakespeare was not, in fact, Shakespeare. Often the speculations revolve around the idea that there is no way that a young man who was not raised with a great deal of money and who did not receive an advanced education could write the astounding plays of the Bard. This past summer, I started a new book exploring the idea that Shakespeare was a fraud. Shakespeare was a woman in other heresies, How Doubting the Bard Became the Biggest Taboo in Literature by Elizabeth Winkler. Although I was enjoying some of her creative analysis and happily rolling my eyes at some of her extravagant claims, I put the book aside when things got really overwhelming in my family life. But I'm ready to go back. For those of you who followed me for a while, you know my son knows much more about Shakespeare than I do, and I'm hoping I can perhaps set up a buddy read with him during November, and perhaps have him be a Zoom guest on my channel for a bit of discussion. My understanding is that this book doesn't make a real argument for anyone being the, quote, real Shakespeare, but focuses instead on why scholars get defensive about the question at all. The second prompt I'm going to talk about is capital. And I want to read a book about human capital, an historical study called Master, Slave, Husband, Wife, An Epic Journey from Slavery to Freedom by Ilyon, about 2 people who, in the late 1840s, ran away from the U.S. state of Georgia, where they were enslaved. The first part of the book discusses the astounding plan the 2 used to, quote, steal themselves, a common phrase used at the time, a phrase which emphasizes that these were not free people, that they were owned by their so-called masters. And escaping from slavery meant they were quite literally stealing their master's legal property. Ellen and William Crafts succeeded in their escape when Ellen passed herself off as the young disabled son of a white master, and William passed as his loyal slave. The second part of the book explores the work the 2 did in their lives as free people in the North after their escape, their work as abolitionists. Prompt number 3 is display. My choice for this one is an extensively illustrated memoir/cookbook by Ella Risbridger called The Year of Miracles, Recipes about Love and Grief and Growing Things. I still have this book on hold from the library, but from what I hear, Risbridger chronicles a year of life in her kitchen and garden, and with her friends as well, as she tries to embrace life anew in the face of deep loss. Books like this sometimes make me a little nervous. I fear that they might be a bit too artificial or corny even, but I've heard great things about Risbridger's books, including about the pictures, which make it a book to display on the coffee table when I'm not in the process of reading it. The final prompt is web, and I'm really excited to get to some of the great web of studies about Willa Cather, biographies, literary criticism, and also Cather's letters. I got an early start with one book during Shorty September, and I hope to finish by writing a formal review of the forthcoming biography of Cather, which is coming out just in time for the celebration of her 150th birthday at the beginning of December. So my plan is to start on this massive web of books and scholarship with the Cather biography by Hermione Lee, published in the US under the title Willa Cather Double Lives in 1990, I think. And then on to Cather's letters, which I've poked through but not read carefully or fully. Well, that's it. Fraud, capital, display, and web. What are your plans for Nonfiction November? Let me know down in the comments. And thanks for joining me today here on Hannah's Books.